In the context of the latest surge of nationwide anti-government protests in the first 2 months of this year, my office documented numerous human rights violations and abuses by security forces and pro-government armed groups, colectivos armados, including excessive use of force, killings, arbitrary detentions, torture, and ill treatment in detention, and threats and intimidation. Many of these concerns have been highlighted in our press statements, and our report to June session of the Council will include extensive detail. The Office has continued to investigate reports of possible extrajudicial execution by security forces. In 2018, the fires were reported to have killed at least 205 persons. A further 37 were reportedly killed in the course of January 2019 in Caracas. It appears that some of these killings have followed a similar pattern. They take place during illegal house raids carried out by the FAES, which subsequently report the deaths as resulting from an armed confrontation, although witnesses report the victims were unarmed. In some cases, relatives of the victims have alleged that the Attorney General's office explicitly refused to initiate investigations against members of the FAES. Most of the victims live in poor neighborhoods and participated in anti-government protests, and I am particularly concerned about reports that indicate that this type of operation is used as a form of reprisal and intimidation. But I'm also concerned about increasing restriction of freedom of expression and of the press in Venezuela, and the allegations that the authority has arbitrarily used the law against hatred adopted in November 2017 to prosecute journalists, opposition leaders, and anyone expressing dissenting opinion, leading to self-censorship. This context has a significant impact on people's right to information. As a direct result of this far-reaching human rights crisis, more than 3 million people have fled Venezuela in search of food, healthcare, work, and protection. Many live in precarious health and with few or no financial resources. Their difficulties are compounded by long-standing practices of extortion and appropriation by some border guards. Venezuelans also face enormous obstacles to obtain documentation that would facilitate regular migration and access to education or work in other countries. Countries in the region have been confronted with a massive arrival of people who often have urgent humanitarian and human rights protection needs. They require very significant and jointly coordinated efforts of regularization and family reunification, as well as access to health care, food, shelter, education, or work. I applaud the efforts undertaken by receiving countries of the region to address the needs of Venezuelan refugees and migrants, and encourage them to continue to combat xenophobia and discrimination and to maintain access to their territory. Excellencies, divisions are exacerbating an already critical situation. There is a need for common agreement on a political solution by all stakeholders, with actions to improve a wide range of urgent human rights issues. I call on the authorities to take steps to demonstrate their real commitment to addressing the many challenging issues reported across the country. And I want to emphasize the continuing commitment of the Office to work with all relevant stakeholders in the efforts to improve the human rights situation in Venezuela. Thank you, Mr. President. Then I go to Yemen.